Welcome from a wet and windy Amos Alonzo Stagg Memorial Stadium on the University of the Pacific campus. We bring you tonight on SJTV the Division II Section Championship game. The Del Oro Golden Eagles champions of the Sierra Foothill League and the Manteca Buffaloes champions of the Valley Oak League. Manteca comes in 11-0-1 undefeated. Del Oro 11-1, winners of 11 in a row. They lost their opener 13-12 to Oak Ridge. They have been perfect since then. Del Oro is led by their outstanding backfield duo of David Yang and B.J. Mitchell, 3,500 yards combined to go along with 45 touchdowns. Manteca defensively outstanding. They yield just 9.5 points per game on average, including a shutout last week against Granite Bay. All-time, Del Oro 5-1 in section championship games. Manteca 0-3. The last time Manteca was in a title game, 1993, also against Del Oro. The Golden Eagles that time coming out on top, 16-0. Manteca, as we mentioned, a winner last week against Granite Bay, 14-0 in week 1 of the playoffs, 41-13. Del Oro in come from behind fashion, scoring 2 touchdowns in the game's final 4 minutes, won 27-24 last week at home against Cordova, and they shut out Oakdale in week 1 of the postseason. Chris Saris, who is also the quarterback for Del Oro, will kick off. Manteca will have Gilbert Martinez and Ricky Martinez to return it, standing at about their 7. This is the second game on this field today. Earlier, Central Catholic won the Division III title. It is sloppy. It's been raining all night, all day. But we are about ready to play some football as the wind has actually subsided. Saris, a pretty good kick considering the conditions. Martinez fields it from the 14 for Manteca, and he goes down shy of the 30. At the 28, Manteca will have it there, and their offense comes out on the field. They're led by their 3-year starter at quarterback, Brad Evans. Behind him, the 2 tailback system, Enrique Martinez and Brad Bailey. The fullback is Jeff Dureo. The receiver, Sean Ward. Wes Chamberlain plays tight end. The O-line, Joe Herrera, Jim Robinson, Andrew Fisher, Steve Dunnigan, and Matt Shute. Just shy of the 30, Manteca as they go to work on offense. They'll run it with Ricky Martinez, and he is stopped by the middle linebacker, Gabe Chandler, among others. Chandler, the team's second leading tackler. The defense for Del Oro, the tackles are Chad Knock and Michael Soley. The ends, Ryan Bradley and David Donnelly. The middle linebackers, Chandler, the outsider, Mowry and Yoakum. Those are the team's 3 leading tacklers, their linebackers. The corners, Muir and Duncan, and the safeties, they both play each safety position, Aaron Quinn and Jake Johnson. Manteca got a yard, maybe a little more, but second down and 9 for the Buffaloes, opening possession of the game, Division II Section Championship. Ricky Martinez goes in motion. Brad Evans to run the option. He keeps it and is cut down. Outstanding defensive tackle by Chad Mowry. He is the team's leading tackler. So Mowry and Chandler make the game's first 2 tackles, which is no surprise for Del Oro. 3rd down and 8 upcoming, a yard gain on each play for Manteca. Both of these teams run the ball a whole lot, and trust me, that's not going to change tonight. 3rd and 8 would be a passing situation. We'll see if that's different tonight. Ricky Martinez goes wide to the left. Evans will roll to the right. Breaks 1 tackle, but not the second, as he is brought down by the middle linebacker, Gabe Chandler, who is 3rd on the team in sacks. So Manteca goes 3 and out. 3 and out for the Buffaloes. Evans is sacked, a loss of 5. And Gabe Chandler, the junior, has already made a big impact on this contest. Danny Jandro on to punt now. Line of scrimmage for Manteca, the 25, high snap. Jandro slips as he kicks it. A nice bounce, though, for Manteca, and will roll down at the 48 of Del Oro. Excellent field position to start for the Golden Eagles, a 28-yard punt with no return. 9:45 on the clock in the first quarter. And Del Oro offensively, their quarterback is Chris Saris. Behind him, the outstanding running backs, David Yang, the tail, and B.J. Mitchell, the fullback. The receivers, a flyback, Paul Nevadomi. The Z is Jesse Harris, tight end Allring, Rutledge, Bonner, Warner, Pauly, Wakeford, Evans on the offensive line. 1st and 10 from the 48. The deep back is Mitchell. And he gets on the Manteca side of the field. A gain of 5 for Mitchell. The Manteca defense has only yielded 100 yards rushing to an individual once this year. That was Frank Phillips from West. For the defense, the nose guard is Jeff DeReo. The tackle, Dunnigan. The ends, Robinson and McCready. The linebackers on the inside, Kelly and Blankenship. Outside, Juarez and Evans. The corners, Martinez and Gilbert Martinez, along with Ricky Martinez and Sean Ward, is the safety. B.J. Mitchell running left side. Jim Robinson gets to him first. A yard gained. Mitchell over 2,000 yards rushing. 2023 coming in with 23 touchdowns. Last year, when he was at Encina High School, 1,350 yards and 24 touchdowns. So it is third and, shall we say, 3. A long 3. From the 45. Mitchell, again, first down across the 40 and down to the 35. 10 yards on that play for B.J. Mitchell. Mitch McCready gets him for Manteca. 3 plays for Del Oro, 3 runs for B.J. Mitchell. And you saw the big hole open up. 3 carries, 18 yards for B.J. Mitchell. From the 35, first possession for Del Oro after Manteca went 3 and out. David Yang this time slips. Falling on top of him were Robinson and DeReo, and Yang ends up with the yard or 2. And the most important people on the field tonight may be the ball boys as they come and exchange the ball after every play after wiping it off to keep it clean for the center. Warner is the center for Del Oro. Second down and 8. Yang will try it again. He ran last time. Evans gets him for Manteca after a yard or 2 again. So far for Del Oro, they've had 5 plays, 5 runs. The first 3 to B.J. Mitchell, the next 2 to David Yang. And it is 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 from the 31. 7.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Full house backfield. Movement on the right side of the line for Del Oro. So here's our referee, Bruce Bondi, and it's a false start on Del Oro. Back judge is Mike Rodriguez. The line judge is Doug Bondi. The headlinesman is Joe Lozano. And the umpire is Bob Chitoris. Loss of 5 on the penalty is going to make it 3rd and 11. 3rd down and 11. Line of scrimmage, the 36 of Manteca for Del Oro, their opening possession. Running, it's Yang to the 29, about 7. And it's going to make it now a 4th and 4 upcoming for Del Oro. And trust me, nobody's going to try a field goal from there. Probably not a spot you would punt the ball. So Del Oro appears if they will go for it on 4th down. Del Oro ranks 6th in the state among Division II teams. Manteca 8th in the state among Division II teams. So we have 2 of the top 10 here tonight. 4th down and 4. Underneath, handoff to Yang. He is stopped after maybe a yard gain. Right there was Ryan Blankenship, Manteca's leading tackler. Manteca ball as they stop Yang. Heck of a play by Ryan Blankenship, the inside backer, to come in and stop it for no gain. Manteca takes over on downs. Manteca defensively 7 times this year has given up 8 points or less. And Del Oro looks like they jump on the hard count from Brad Evans. 10 times the Manteca defense has given up 13 or less. The high point totals against Manteca, 21 against Sonora and 20 against West. That was the tie ball game. Offsides against the Golden Eagles, so they have 2 penalties early on and gives Manteca 5 free yards. Up to the 34 for Manteca, 6:28 to play in the first quarter. We are scoreless. D2 title game. Ricky Martinez slips forward for maybe 3. Jeffrey Lay among those in on the tackle. Ricky Martinez, Manteca's leading rusher, 816 yards. Scored 18 touchdowns on the ground, 20 in total. Second and a couple. Second and a long 2 upcoming as we are midway through the first quarter from Stagg Memorial Stadium on the UOP campus. Manteca keeping it on the ground, and they have a first down. Brad Bailey, the ball carrier that time. Bailey, the second tailback in the 2 tailback system for Manteca. Bailey, 261 yards rushing. He's a junior. Stepped in when Manteca lost Matt Greenlee. Manteca, in fact, lost 2 two-way starters during the season in Carlos Duenas and Matt Greenlee. But guys have stepped in. Jeff Torreo, Ryan Kelly, Brad Bailey, among others. 1st and 10, Manteca up to the 41-yard line. The snap is bobbled. Brad Evans goes to the ground and appears to recover. And we're going to see that a whole lot tonight. Makes it 2nd down and 10 as Evans fell on it right at the line of scrimmage. On 2nd down and 10 from the 41. Ricky Martinez hit in the backfield for a loss. Chandler in there again. Also Mowry. You can just assume that they're going to be in on virtually every tackle, the outstanding linebackers. And Martinez will lose 2. Neither team yet to attempt a pass. That's real surprising. 3rd down and 12. The rain has stopped at least. Still windy, but the field is a bog, or if you will, a quagmire. Eric Alves with you on the SJTV Sports High School Football Game of the Week, the Division II Section Championship, our 14th game with you this season. Full house backfield on 3rd and 12. Evans will try to throw. Nobody is open, so he runs and is pushed out of bounds. Chandler, the man who bumps him out again, and Evans well short of the first down as the Manteca offense will run off the field. Evans gets a couple, and now Manteca forced a punt for the 2nd time in 2 possessions. Well, the first team to 10 might win tonight. Probably pushing that, but maybe not. We mentioned there was a 1 p.m. game on this field. Central and Escalon, 20-14 the final there. Jandro slipped last time he punted, and he's run into. That's a flag. We'll see if it's running into the kicker or roughing the kicker. Ball rests down at the 26. Bruce Bondi the call, personal foul. And it's roughing the kicker, and that means it's a first down for Manteca. The 3rd penalty against Del Oro, obviously the difference between running into and roughing, 5 or 15. And Manteca will have the first down, and they get the ball back all the way down to the Del Oro 44-yard line. Not sure who the guilty party was on Del Oro, but Manteca catches the game's first break. You saw the call from Bruce Bondi. Manteca 1st and 10 at the 44, 4:04 to play in the first quarter. Must take advantage of your opportunities in this game. Toss, Ricky Martinez, left side. Out in front, Herrera. Martinez across the 30, past the 10, on his feet. Touchdown, Ricky Martinez. Manteca strikes first. Martinez 44 yards to the end zone. So Manteca took advantage in a hurry. Ricky Martinez, 44 yards. Heck of a job to stay on his feet in this muddy field, and maybe that helped him as some tacklers bounced off of him. And Manteca now to attempt the extra point. Brian Lowry out of the hold of Anthony Dadasovich. Kick is up, and it is good. 3:52 to play in the first quarter. Manteca strikes first, all on the roughing the punter call. The very next play, Ricky Martinez, 44 yards to score the Buffalo touchdown. 7-0 Manteca. Here it comes again down the sideline. Thought Martinez might go down there. No, switches to the other hand, nicely done, and then covers up for the Manteca touchdown. Had Joe Herrera out front leading the block. Martinez's 21st touchdown this year, 19th rushing. Mentioned Manteca 0-3 in section finals. They lost in 75 to Placer, 78 to Ponderosa, and in 93 to Del Oro. Del Oro won in 89, 92, 93 against Manteca, 94 and 97, while losing in 95. This has almost become an annual event for Del Oro. And the Sierra Foothill League, which has won the last 4 Division II titles. Del Oro 97, 98 Oak Ridge, 99 and 2000 Granite Bay. Danny Jandro to kick off for Manteca. Mitchell and Yang, the return men for Del Oro, the Golden Eagles, champions of the Sierra Foothill League. Squibber up the middle, picked up now and then dropped was Jesse Harris. Harris had trouble scooping up that ball. When he did, he was leveled. From the 31, Del Oro will have it. You see the end of that play. And Brad Bailey delivered the shot to Jesse Harris. 3:47 on the clock, first quarter. Manteca leading 7-0, 44-yard touchdown run, Ricky Martinez. From the 31, David Yang bounces off one tackler, but not the second group. Ryan Kelly in there, also Brad Evans, and it looks like Jeff DeReo. Maybe not even a yard gain by Yang. So we'll say second down and 10 from just outside the 31. A Del Oro offense that has scored 33 points per game this season on average. A Manteca defense less than 10 given up. Mitchell this time for 2, maybe 3. And so far on every play, it's either been Yang or Mitchell. Mitchell's 4th carry for 21. 5 for 11 for Yang. 9 offensive plays for Del Oro. 9 runs by Yang or Mitchell. 3rd and 7. Mitchell hit in the backfield by Brad Evans. He even loses 3. Manteca all over the running game. And of course, this field not helping Del Oro with the speed of Mitchell and Yang. Mitchell more of the power runner, Yang with the speed, but that is certainly negated here tonight. And the smash mouth football that Manteca likes to play is very much evident tonight. Sean Ward, the return man. Chris Thrall to punt. Ward stands at the Manteca 43. High snap to Thrall. He gets it away. Very short kick. Manteca's going to have to watch out and make sure it doesn't hit them. And the ball, like a pitching wedge, dies on the 41, like a good pitching wedge. On the 41 of Del Oro, Manteca leading 7-0, has outstanding field position. A Manteca offense that 8 times this year scored 30 or more points, 4 times 40 or more, including the 3 games prior to their Granite Bay playoff game last week. 40 against Tracy, 67 against East Union, final 2 regular season games, and 41 against Foothill in the opener of the postseason. Officially, Manteca goes from the 40 of Del Oro, 1st and 10. Evans didn't quite have the snap, then takes it. Now is hit for a loss. Gabe Chandler again also got some help, but Chandler the first man there. Chad Knock as well. And Chandler has been impressive early on defensively. His 2nd sack in the first quarter. Evans loses 4. A loss of 4. Second down and 14. We play the final minute 20 of the first quarter. Not nearly the crowd that was expected, although obviously the weather has a lot to do with that. Ricky Martinez gets back to the line of scrimmage, so he gains 4, and will bring up a 3rd down and 10 for Manteca. The common oppositions for these two teams, both played Granite Bay. Manteca won last week 14-0, and then Del Oro defeated Granite Bay, ending their 23-game league winning streak 27-14. Also Oakdale, Del Oro beat them in the first round of the playoffs 41-0. Manteca defeated Oakdale in homecoming 23-6. 3rd down and 10. Durreo, the fullback, for 5. Durreo gets to the 35. On his first carry, Durreo 400 yards rushing coming in. Stepped in for Carlos Duenas, also plays nose guard. 4th and 5 for Manteca. And they will come on to punt. Would be obviously too far of a field goal. 52 from here. Manteca going to play the field position game, although we'll see if there's a fake. We saw one last night in the Fairfield game. Jandro, who is excellent with the coffin corner, but that bounces the way Del Oro would like to see it. And it will come out to the 20, but that does it for the first quarter from Stagg Memorial Stadium. 1 in the books in this Division II title game. Manteca on top 7-0 on the 44-yard touchdown run by Ricky Martinez right after a roughing the punter call by Del Oro. So Del Oro will look to get things going offensively here in quarter number 2, but so far Del Oro 8 carries on offense, rather 10 carries on offense between David Yang and BJ Mitchell, and just 29 total yards. We knew it would be a battle of wills, the running game of Del Oro and the defense of Manteca. Manteca coached by Joe Miller, his 10th year. This is his 4th section championship game, 2nd with Manteca. He won 2 in the late 70s at Delta High School, Division III, which is south of Sacramento. From the 20, 1st and 10 for Del Oro. David Yang, nothing doing. David Juarez there for Manteca, among others. Manteca so good at swarming to the ball. A yard possibly for Yang, and that's being generous. 2nd down and 9.5. Yang, 6th carry, 11 yards. Yang last week, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the win against Cordova on the year, nearly 1,500. BJ Mitchell this time gets to the 25 and maybe just across it, or across it, no T in it. Close to 5 that time. 3rd down and 5 now, upcoming from the 25-yard line. And it's pretty obvious, it seems, that there aren't going to be many big plays, that if you can eat up 5 or 6 yards at a time, you'll be doing quite well for yourself, although Manteca does have the 44-yard run by Ricky Martinez. I formation behind Chris Saris. The deep back Mitchell runs into Saris. Now Mitchell running for his life. The ball is loose. Sean Ward is there for Manteca and has it at the 10-yard line. So Manteca so far has 2 breaks, the roughing the punter, and here's the fumble by Mitchell. That play was doomed from the start as BJ Mitchell ran into Chris Saris on the handoff, and Sean Ward was there, the free safety, to scoop up the fumble. Manteca takes over. As you watch it again, it was stripped by Brad Evans, and then Ward able to pick it up. So here comes Manteca to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the 10. Ricky Martinez for 2. As Del Oro in there trying to strip it away, as they should. Got to take care of the ball in this weather. Jake Johnson and also Jake Duncan in there. We'll see the play again. Excellent angle right there. And just popped out of there as Mitchell was trying to fight for yardage when maybe he should have just gone down. Although hindsight always 20/20. Nearly 2 minutes into the second quarter. 2nd down and 8. Manteca can get a 1st down at the 1-inch yard line virtually. Ricky Martinez again hit pretty hard Mowry, among others. No gain for Martinez, and that makes it 3rd down and 8. And I wonder, would you even try a field goal? Obviously, if Manteca is unable to pick up any more yards, it would be about a 25-yarder. But in this footing, I'm not sure. Could be 4-down territory. Manteca can pick up a 1st down, but it would almost be impossible to pick up the 1st down and not score a touchdown. Evans looking to throw. DeReo was open. Now Evans loses it. Evans had DeReo all alone over the middle and couldn't release it. And then he is dropped. Knock in there. And you see Evans was looking to throw and couldn't get it off. And Mitchell able to jump through and get Evans as well. So here comes the field goal attempt for Manteca, Danny Jandro. A field goal attempt now of about 33 yards with Anthony Dadasevich to hold. 33-yarder. Kick is up. And it goes off the upright, or so it appeared from here. Off the foot, it looked like Jandro had it. Pretty good boot in these conditions. Remember, we're playing at UOP, a college stadium, of course, no more, but the goalposts are a little more narrow than your average high school goalposts, and that may have been the difference in missing the field goal and making it. Del Oro certainly dodges one there, as Manteca had it 1st and 10 from the 10 and could not come away with any points. Del Oro now from the 20, 8:45 to play in the half. Manteca clinging to a 7-0 lead. B.J. Mitchell fumbled last time around. We'll see if he gets the redeeming carry. He does, but gains nothing. And Manteca just does not allow anybody to penetrate that defensive line. DeReo, Dunnigan, McCready, Robinson, all there for the Buffaloes. Eight carries for B.J. Mitchell, 8 yards. Mitchell again has a little bit of running room. Caught from behind. Robinson, I believe, and then Ward kind of there to touch him down. Throwing Juarez and Blankenship. Mitchell ends up getting 5. 9th carry already for B.J. Mitchell, the workhorse. Last week, 196 yards and 2 touchdowns in the come-from-behind win against Cordova. Timeout taken by Del Oro, their first. They still have 2. 7-0 Manteca leading on a 44-yard touchdown run by Ricky Martinez. You see Del Oro huddling up to discuss things here on this 3rd down and 5 play. Manteca has had the break so far. The roughing the punter call gave Manteca the ball on Del Oro's side of the field, and Manteca promptly answered with a 44-yard touchdown run. And also the fumble, though Manteca came up with no points on that. B.J. Mitchell fumbled. Sean Ward recovered at the 10 of Del Oro. Manteca, though, only gained 2 yards, and then Danny Jandro missed from about 33 yards out. Appeared to graze the upright. 3rd down and 5 upcoming. The backs are split behind Chris Saris. Del Oro yet to attempt a pass in this contest. They won't start now. B.J. Mitchell looks to have enough for a 1st down. And Mitchell gains 6. 10th carry now, 19 yards. Del Oro going to play the grinded out time of possession game out of the fly offense. They have co-head coaches Larry Wyatt and John Fletcher, who are retiring after this game. Coach Fletcher calls the plays. They'll both have a lot to do with the offense. 44 years of Del Oro football between them. On 1st down, B.J. Mitchell. Not a whole lot of fancy things going on in this game from either team, but that hasn't been the case all year long for them, so why change things up? Another tackle for Ryan Blankenship. Mitch McCready also at the bottom of the pile. Maybe 3. That's pushing it. So we'll say second and a long 7. Could be closer to 8, though. Still the only guys on offense other than the center and quarterback to touch it, Mitchell and Yang. Here's Mitchell across the 35. On the Del Oro side of the field, gets up near the 37. Maybe 3. So it's 3rd, maybe even 4 on the last play. 3rd and 3 upcoming here. Mitchell already up to 12 carries, but only at about 26 yards, of course, unofficially. We near 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. Our only scoring, a 44-yard touchdown run by Manteca's Ricky Martinez. Full house backfield behind Chris Saris on 3rd and a long 3. David Yang near the first down, right at the marker. From this vantage point, it looks like it's enough for Yang and Del Oro. And you're starting to see the numbers obscured on the jerseys, the players all muddied up. But to be honest with you, this is about the best the weather has been all day long. Somewhere in there, Yang got a first down. 7 carries for 14 yards for David Yang as the clock is wound. We near the midway point of the second quarter. 1st and 10 Del Oro from the 41. A drive that started their own 20 after Manteca missed the field goal. David Yang, the deep back, gets to the 45. Juarez, another tackle as a very late flag comes in. Very late flag. And let's see, Bruce Bondi with our call. And Manteca gets the unsportsmanlike conduct. Maybe a little John going on there. First penalty against Manteca, but this one hurts and gives Del Oro the ball on the Manteca side of the field. Manteca will now have to defend their goal. Del Oro with it at the 40-yard line. Opportunity potentially here to tie the score. Winners of 11 straight is Del Oro. Manteca yet to lose this year. They do have a tie. I think it's very clear these are the 2 best teams in Division II, other than the fact they're playing in the championship game. From the 40, B.J. Mitchell. Mitchell bounces off of Sean Ward and falls down near the 30. He gets about 9 on that run, bouncing off of tackles. And now we see B.J. Mitchell starting to go to work. Mitchell up to 13 carries. And this drive now 3.5 minutes long. 8 plays already for Del Oro. Look at Mitchell, number 30, took the pop and spun around. 2nd and 1 from the 31. First back through is Mitchell, and he is bounced back for a couple of yards lost. Dunnigan there for Manteca. Maybe Manteca's best defender, and that's saying something on this team. A junior said after the Granite Bay, maybe they should have double-teamed me. He had the big strip of Mo Thomas that led to a Jeff DeReo 5-yard touchdown. A loss of 1 by Mitchell, 3rd down and 2. 3rd and 2 from the 32. Chris Saris talks to David Yang, who's late coming onto the field. Here we go. Yang takes it, tackle in the backfield, and it looked like Dunnigan again, and it was. Steve Dunnigan, back-to-back big-time plays. And another loss on the play, a loss of 1. Dunnigan, the team's leader in tackles for loss, now 18 on the season, and he read that one from the start. A loss of 1 for Yang, 4th down and 3 at the 33. Mitchell gained 9 on 1st down, and then he lost 1, and then Yang lost 1. As we will go under 4 minutes on this snap left in the half. Manteca leading 7-0. Timeout taken Del Oro. Del Oro left with just 1. Manteca defense that has been on the field a good deal. A Manteca team that has 7 two-way starters. But that has not been a factor, speaking of fatigue, the entire year for Manteca. Talked about the coaching staff for Del Oro. Larry White and John Fletcher, between them 44 years coaching at the school. Coach Fletcher served with Bob Christensen, who is now the principal at Del Oro, for 16 years as co-head coaches. 4 section titles during their run. Then Larry Wyatt took over. He was the JV coach, longtime JV coach. Took over in 95, lost the section title game that year, but then won it in 97. And then in 2000, Coach Wyatt taught Coach Fletcher back into coaching, and they've been at the helm for the last 2 years, but they will go out together here tonight. Of course, they'd like to go out with the win, and Joe Miller would like to win his 3rd section championship and the first at Manteca. Ironically enough, 4 of the 5 section championship wins for Del Oro have come against VOL teams. On 4th and 3, B.J. Mitchell takes it, and he is short. Mitchell does not have it, and Manteca stops Del Oro. Mitchell got 1, maybe 2, but he needed 3. So twice on 4th down, Manteca has stopped Del Oro, and now Manteca has the full complement of timeouts, a 7-0 lead, and 3:52 on the clock. Manteca has it at the 31. Backs are split behind Brad Evans. Ricky Martinez fighting hard. Forward progress will get him just shy of the 35. Martinez has been the workhorse for Manteca, able to get 3. We'll make it 2nd and 7 upcoming for Manteca. Under 3.5 to play in the first half. 7-0 our score on the mud bog that is Stagg Memorial Stadium. Toss, Jeff DeReo. Evans going to try and block, and then Jeff DeReo only picks up 1. David Donnelly, the stop, the defensive end, a 6'2", 195 junior. A lot of juniors playing defense for Del Oro. 6 starters, in fact, are juniors on the defense. You see Evans tried to block. DeReo cut it back inside as Ricky Martinez also tried to block. Del Oro this year, on average, yields 17 points per game. 3rd and 6 from the 35. Martinez goes in motion. Evans looking to throw, now running for his life, and almost has it intercepted. David Donnelly was there. Donnelly almost picked it off. He was the man who made the last tackle, and Evans was trying to throw as he was almost being brought down. We'll see it again, and right there, Donnelly's left paw almost able to snag it. I think Ricky Martinez was the intended receiver. So Manteca's attempted to pass a couple of times, or at least drop back to pass. That is the first pass attempt of the game. Jandro is punting. He's done a good job tonight, and Manteca's gotten the bounces on the punts as well. Ball rolls dead at the 37. The 37 is where Del Oro will have it. 2.5 minutes remain for Del Oro, maybe to get some points on the board here in the first half, though Del Oro just with 1 timeout left. Del Oro, a year ago, 7-3. Did not have B.J. Mitchell. As I mentioned, he was at Encina. David Yang ran for 700 yards, and this year Yang and Mitchell, 3,500 combined. On first down, B.J. Mitchell will run. Tripped up by Blankenship, finished off by Ward. Mitchell gets 3. And we'll see if Del Oro tries to go to the air, as they have not yet. As we near now just 2 minutes left in the half, and still 60 yards of real estate for Del Oro to eat up. A very quick moving half. In fact, a half that has taken 39 minutes to this point. Well, when you have 1 pass attempt, it's gonna run. Speaking of the clock. 2nd and 7, Saris thrown down by David Juarez. A sack and a loss of 10. David Juarez, the senior outside linebacker there for Manteca, and it's been so many different players this year for the Buffaloes on defense. Juarez, you see the strength to throw down Saris, as Del Oro was actually attempting to pass there. And Manteca may want to use a timeout here. It's 3rd and about 17, 3rd and 17. Upcoming for Del Oro, maybe even 3rd and 18, but either way, 3rd and long. And just a minute and now 15 seconds left in the half. If Manteca gets a stop here, I would expect they would use a timeout. David Yang on 3rd and long. Gets to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. Juarez there again for Manteca. Also looked like Ryan Kelly, and there is a timeout signaled. Nice job by Manteca with the clock management. And maybe try and block this punt or set up the good return. Of course, the footing and the filling on the ball are not good tonight. Manteca certainly has shut down the running game of Del Oro, at least to this point. And you never know in this game, because it's probably going to be so low scoring, one long run could make the difference. It has so far. The 44-yard run by Ricky Martinez, our only scoring, which came after Del Oro was called for roughing the punter. Martinez scored at the 4:04 mark of the first quarter. Eric Alves, Nicole Ferran, Demetrius Snayer, Leo Gales, Dan Brannon, Nick Lujan, and Michael January with you on the SJTV Sports High School Football Game of the Week. Some hardy souls here at Stagg Stadium. Probably a few more than I expected considering the weather. But certainly not as many who would have been here had it been a beautiful night. But then again, this is the first day in December. We could live in Minnesota. There are the fans, and it's not bad. A couple hundred on each side, maybe 1,000 in total, maybe even a little more than that. It's always so deceiving in the stadium, which holds 30,000. Chris Thrall to punt. Gilbert Martinez, the deep man for Manteca. He stands at the 40. High snap to Thrall. Pretty good kick. Gilbert Martinez will go over the shoulder. He drops it at the 30 and falls on it wisely instead of trying to pick it up and run with it. And Gilbert Martinez puts Manteca with the ball at the 30, and I'm guessing they're not going to get too risky here because of the great punt by Thrall. A 40-yard punt by Thrall with no return. Martinez almost like a center fielder right there, and it's tough in this footing. Never quite sure when you're going to slip. 49 seconds left in the half. Manteca leading 7-0, and Del Oro just with one timeout, so Manteca may even take a knee here. We'll see. They have the full house behind Evans. Will they run it? They may. They do. You have to be sure with the ball. Brad Bailey gets to the 35. Bailey for 5. Timeout taken by Manteca. 38 seconds left. Manteca with 1 left. So the Buffaloes are trying to move the ball here on offense. I wonder if they would try to throw it. One of their offensive coaches, Neil McDonald, heading in to talk with the Buffaloes. Also, Jack Miller working with the offense for Manteca, as he has for 16 seasons. Rob Schroeder, the defensive coordinator for the Buffaloes. Bob Beating and Greg Robison round out the coaching staff, along with Joe Miller. Coach Miller, 56, 46, and 3. As we mentioned, D3 titles in 77 and 78 with Delta High. And he has produced 4 NFL players. I don't know many other high school coaches who have done that. 3 at Delta High, Scott Berry, Tony Eason, and Bo Eason. And at Manteca, Don Morgan, who currently plays with the Vikings. Manteca down to 1 timeout, only 38 seconds left. This is the first half that has seen 1 pass attempt. A couple of times quarterbacks from each side have gone back to pass, but have been sacked. And now Manteca, with Ricky Martinez very deep, appear as if they may just take a knee. That is the formation, at least. They take the knee. Del Oro doesn't elect to use their final timeout. And Manteca may not have to snap it again. We'll see when the ball is spotted right at 25 seconds. And Manteca will not have to snap it again, so the teams will walk off the field, though the clock's still ticking down. Manteca will lead here at the break 7-0. Del Oro will have the ball to start in half number 2. The only scoring on a 44-yard run by Ricky Martinez for Manteca after a roughing the punter call against Del Oro. Del Oro fumbled at their own 10. Manteca recovered at the 10, but Manteca got no points out of it as they missed a field goal. This one far from done at the low-scoring defensive affair we thought it would be. There's the touchdown won by Ricky Martinez. Somehow didn't fall down on this field because everybody else has been tonight. The only points, the extra point was good by Lowry. 7-0 at the break. Division II section championship game back with the start of half number 2 right after this. We head to the second half. Manteca on top 7-0. The first half was played in a brisk 40 minutes. It saw 47 total plays, 46 of which were runs. Total offense between the two teams, 98 yards. So we're looking at just over 2 yards per play. Only one pass attempt, as I mentioned, that was by Manteca. Each team went back to pass a couple of times, but their quarterbacks were sacked. The difference, Ricky Martinez's 44-yard touchdown run, 4:04 to go in the first quarter. The extra point was good as well. For Del Oro, who will receive the ball to start this second half, B.J. Mitchell, 16 carries, 38 yards. David Yang, 10 carries, 17 yards. Two guys who had 3,500 yards combined coming in, and Chris Saris was sacked. Those were the offensive plays for Del Oro, 26 of the 27, Mitchell or Yang. For Manteca, 20 offensive plays, 8 carries by Ricky Martinez, 53 yards, much of them coming on the touchdown run. Brad Bailey, a couple of carries for 8 yards. Jeff Doreo, a couple of carries for 6. Brad Evans, 7 carries minus 14 yards. He was sacked 3 times, including 2 by Gabe Chandler. Manteca maybe missed an opportunity when they recovered the fumble at the 10-yard line, unable to score as they missed a field goal after Evans was sacked on a third down play when Jeff Doreo was open in the end zone. And right now, that's where we stand, 7-0. I said earlier the first team to 10 would win. Maybe the first team to 14, a little more realistic, but probably 2 touchdowns might win this one. The conditions, I guess, about as good as can be considered since it's been raining all day. The rain has not been a factor during the game, but the field has. It's very muddy, and this field, when I walked in this morning, was in excellent condition. Of course, it doesn't get used a whole lot anymore here at UOP. But there are some high school games here from time to time, Stag among others, and playoff games and whatnot, but really not a whole lot of use, UOP soccer as well. And this field was in excellent condition prior to the 2 games today. Of course, the 1 p.m. Division III games, Central and Escalon, won by Central Catholic, which it should be noted finished the season with just 1 loss. That loss coming to Manteca. And Escalon finished the year with 3 losses, 2 to Central and 1 to Manteca. So Del Oro will have it to start the second half. They had 5 possessions in the first half, 1 fumble, twice they were stopped on 4th down, and they punted twice. Manteca, 6 possessions, 1 touchdown, a missed field goal, 3 punts, and the end of the half. Each team with a couple of costly penalties. Manteca, I guess, didn't end up costing them. They had an unsportsmanlike penalty that put Del Oro inside the Manteca 40. But then Manteca stopped Del Oro on a 4th down from around the 30. And Del Oro had the penalty that kept the Manteca drive going, which led to the Buffaloes' only points. 4 penalties in total, 3 by Del Oro, and 1 for the Buffaloes of Manteca. Mitchell and Yang stand inside the 15. We'll see if they take over this game in the second half. They have done that so many times. And don't forget, last week, Del Oro had to come from behind against Cordova. They were down 17-7 at the half. Jandro to kick off. I'm not sure if the ball will ever reach the hands of Yang or Mitchell. Danny Jandro, one of the only players whose jersey is not obscured by mud. So here we go in the second half. Division II section championship game. A rematch of '93 when Del Oro won 16-0. Chandler falls on it right at the 29. The man who had 2 sacks in the first half for Del Oro receives the opening kickoff of the second half. Del Oro has it at their own 29. And as Leo Gales astutely pointed out before the game, if this game were to be played in the Bahamas, neither one of these teams would still be throwing the ball a whole lot. They have got here by running it and with their defense, and that's what they're going to do in this bog. But if the weather and the field were better, I'm doubting we would see a whole lot of passes even in excellent conditions. But the conditions, as far as the weather, are not bad now. It's become a brisk, windy evening. Ball just shy of the 30 for Del Oro on a 1st and 10. They go to the ground. Big surprise there. Pretty good chunk, though, for Mitchell as he gets up to the 35. Pickup of 5, 2nd down and 5. Mitchell now up to 17 carries, 43 yards. for a man who has 2,000 yards coming in. One receiver wide to the right. On the ground again, and Manteca is there. Evans and Robinson get B.J. Mitchell after a 1-yard gain. And talking about this Manteca defense, it has been any number of players making big plays, not only tonight, but all year long. Robinson, Dunnigan, Dureo, McCready, Juarez, Blankenship, Kelly, Evans, both Martinez's, Bailey, Ward, Steve Stewart, Danny C. On third down, Mitchell will be well short. Maybe gets 2. And so 3 straight runs by Mitchell, only picks up 8 yards. And it means a punt upcoming for Del Oro on the opening possession of the second half. And it's not if Manteca is being surprised by anything Del Oro is doing. Run with B.J. Mitchell, run with David Yang. Gilbert Martinez stands at the Manteca 24. Last time Chris Thrall had a booming punt, a pretty good one again. Martinez ran up on it. Now the wind brings him back from the 20. Martinez breaks a tackle. There is a flag. Gilbert Martinez gets to the outside, gets another block, cuts across the field, and he may go the distance at the 40, at the 30, the 20, 10, 5, touchdown, but it may all come back. Hold everything. It may come back. There is a flag sitting at the 22-yard line. Great blocking for Manteca, but I don't know if this one's going to stand. Martinez, who has intercepted passes and returned them for touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, returns a punt here, but the clip against Manteca early in the run at the 22-yard line. And so the punt return is called back, and the clip was somewhere in there. You can see about the middle of your screen, a Del Oro Golden Eagle came flying in. I'm guessing that's where the clip came. Didn't see the clip, but saw the Golden Eagle come flying in. But the officials threw it, and then Martinez got some great blocks. That's a better angle. Look forward a little bit, and you still can't quite see the block, but I think right there coming in, as Chad Mowry came flying through, I think he was the man who was clipped. And it looks like we have a little bit of mist coming back on the field, so just when I said the weather had become nice, it once again becomes inclement. 9:55 in the third quarter. Manteca, their poorest field position of the game. They start from their own 11 after the 80-yard punt return was called back. 1st and 10 Buffaloes, leading 7-0. They toss to Jeff Dureo. Dureo, a hard-earned 4, maybe 5, around the 15. Then he's pushed back by Donnelly. Dureo's 3rd carry for Manteca for 9 yards, actually make it 10 yards in total. And it's going to be now a 2nd down and, shall we say, 5 on long 5 upcoming for Manteca. Ricky Martinez cuts it back, has a Buffalo 1st down up to the 22, maybe even the 23, 7 yards for Martinez. And now Manteca will try to go to work with their ground game and try and grind it out, take some time off the clock, and Manteca can play from in front, which they have done all year long, and they have done well all year long. Not often Manteca has had to come from behind, if ever, this season. They had a battle against Escalon, won 14-2, did have to come from behind in the game against West. They tied there at 20. 1st and 10 Manteca from the 23. Jeff Dureo, the fullback, tripped up as he gets across the 25. Chad Knock appeared to be the man who tripped him up. Dureo ends up with 3, 2nd and 7 on his 4th carry. Dureo, the 5'10", 185 senior, scored 7 touchdowns this year, a couple on defense for the Buffaloes this year. Manteca resets to go to the full house backfield. On 2nd and 7, Brad Bailey sidestepping a couple of tacklers, then driven down hard by Chad Mowry. Mowry, the 2-year starter, outside linebacker, gets up to the 31. 5-yard gain, 3rd and 2. Bailey's 3rd carry. Manteca starting to switch it up a little bit. Nice moves by the junior for Manteca. Bailey, 3rd carry for 15. 3rd and a short 2 for Manteca. Whistles, and it's probably going to be a false start on the Buffaloes. Manteca just 1 penalty so far in the game. Our referee, Bruce Bondi, to make the call. And it's a false start on Manteca. So it's going to march the Buffaloes back 5 and make it 3rd and 7, which certainly changes a lot of things. Oh, there's a pole. Reminds us of Gus Schmidt Field and Manteca. Maybe the same architect. 3rd and 7 from the 26. Quick snap from Manteca. Toss to Martinez. Herrera out front. Martinez will be close to a 1st down. Manteca has had success when they've run to the outside, the sweep, which they scored the touchdown on. The same side as well, with Herrera leading Martinez. It's on the far side, so we may have a measurement upcoming. And you can see where the down marker was standing, the chain gang man dropping it as the players went his way. So it's tough to tell, but it is very close. And you wouldn't think that Manteca would go for it because they're deep in their own territory if it's not enough for a 1st down. And by a link or 2, Manteca is short. And what a difficult decision to make, but you don't think they would go for it. 4th down in their own territory, their own 33. And in this kind of field condition, if you bobble the snap or maybe a bad exchange, you're in trouble. Manteca, though, looks like they're coming to the line to go for it on offense. The officials will respot it in the middle of the field. It's 4th and 1, and it's 4th and 1 link of the chain. But this could change everything either way. Manteca gets it, their drive continues on. If Del Oro gets a stop, they have the ball on the Manteca side of the field. It's just a link or 2, but that is awfully hard in this field condition. Remember, the game so far is averaging about 2.5 yards per play between the teams. So here we go, Manteca from the 32.5 to go for it on 4th and 1, or maybe just try and draw off Del Oro. That could be the call as well. Maybe just trying to draw the Golden Eagles off, and if they can't do it, take the penalty. Certainly a strategy we often see employed. Evans, earlier in the game, went with the hard count to get Del Oro to jump. Maybe a quarterback keeper by Evans. Of course, you would like to keep the exchanges to a minimum. Clock shows 7 minutes and 13 seconds here in the 3rd quarter. 7-0 Manteca leading. They scored their touchdown late in the 1st quarter. 44-yard run by Ricky Martinez. I think the officials want to reset the clock. Want to try and reset the clock, I believe. That's why the stoppage. There's Bruce Bondi, one of his official mates, talking to an official on the sideline. 5 seconds on the clock, I believe, is what they're mouthing. 5 seconds is what they want on the clock. And from 7:13 to 7:18, I think, is what will happen. And it's like each team is being iced down right now. Manteca waiting to go for it on 4th and 1. Del Oro waiting to defend on 4th and 1. Manteca and Del Oro, 11-1. Del Oro, 11-0-1. Manteca, both league champs, playing for the Division II Section Championship tonight, and the clock is still not fixed. This is getting ridiculous. Joe Miller unhappy as his Buffalo defense or offense is waiting to go. The clock now shows 7:35, so I guess that's where they wanted it. And now you see the Manteca offense wants some noise, which isn't usually the case. It's been a brash group all year long, but they have backed up that talk. And I still think the clock is supposed to be 7:18, not 7:35. There we go. 7:18 on the clock. Manteca to go for it in their own territory on a 4th and 1 at the 32. And now the clock is wound. And Manteca is going to be called for the false start. They did go with the quick snap to the quarterback, Brad Evans, but it looked like the center maybe snapped it a little early, so the false start on Manteca, and now a punting situation. So a bizarre 2 minutes here in this football game, from putting the time on the clock, from Manteca going for it on fourth, and then never actually attempting the play, at least officially. Paul Nevedomi, now a deep man, along with Jesse Harris. Yang and Mitchell not back deep. Danny Jandro to punt with the line of scrimmage about the 27. Jandro's punted pretty well tonight. Chris Thrall has punted very well, but this one not a good punt. It goes and bounces in the direction Del Oro would like to see it. Comes down at the 44. A punt of 17 yards with no return. So things looking rather rosy for Del Oro with 6:59 to go in the third quarter, though the Golden Eagles trail 7-0. And Del Oro quickly comes to the line. They have been shut out to this point. Their lowest total of the year, 12 points in the opener at Oak Ridge when they lost. The reverse is fumbled. Manteca gets there. Recovered by Mitch McCready for Manteca, and sometimes when you go to the chicanery, it bites you back. The exchange was not a good one. Nevedomi never got it, and Manteca has their second fumble recovery of the game. Mitch McCready there, and once again the momentum swings back to the Manteca Buffaloes. 6:54 to play in the third. Manteca with the ball at the 49, their own, but outstanding field position. The 5-time champion in Del Oro against Manteca looking for their first title. This is their 4th attempt. Toss, Martinez, this has been their most successful play. Only a yard for Martinez. Play broken down when Donnelly got to him in the backfield. He didn't make the tackle, but certainly broke it down. Martinez just gets a yard on his 11th carry, 68 yards. And he's really the only person this entire ball game that's had any success running the ball. Mitchell and Yang have been shut down, and we've still only seen one pass attempt in this game, that by Brad Evans. It was incomplete. 2nd down and 9 for the Buffaloes, nearing the midway of the third quarter, and the fastest moving game I've ever been a part of. The halftime almost as long as the first half, and we're not kidding about that. 2nd and 9, Martinez goes in motion. Evans to keep, Evans to be hit in the backfield by Gabe Chandler, who's playing about as well as you possibly can on defense. That goes as a sack because it's a loss of 1. And so that is his 3rd. Gabe Chandler, the junior, picks up his 3rd sack, the 4th for the team. The team's 2nd leading tackler, 3rd in sacks, and he, to this point, is Del Oro's player of the game. Ricky Martinez probably the player of the game for Manteca. Still a lot of football left, almost 18 minutes in total. 3rd down and 10. Toss, Martinez bobbled the reception of the toss and then goes nowhere. It's Chad Mowry. So Mowry and Chandler taking turns making the tackles, the linebackers. About as good a group of linebackers as you're going to find, throwing Yoakum in that group. And Manteca goes 3 and out after the fumble. So 2 turnovers from Del Oro. None for Manteca, but the Golden Eagles just trail by 7. And Manteca to punt for the 2nd time in the second half and the 5th time in the game. The last punt was not a good one, only 17 yards. Harris and Nevedomi are deep. Jandro angles this one. It goes out of bounds at the 34, just shy of the 35. 16-yard punt after a 17-yard punt, though Del Oro pinned a little deeper than the previous time. 4:43 showing on the clock in the third quarter. 7-0 Manteca over Del Oro, Division II section championship game. Golden Eagles line up in the I formation behind Chris Saris. David Yang takes it, tripped up. A yard, maybe 2. And it seems like every play has looked like the other for Del Oro. A run by Yang or a run by Mitchell for 2. And this one really just a yard, so 2nd and 9. Yang's first carry of the second half after he had 10 in the first, 11 for 18 yards. Mitchell has 19 for 46, combined 30 carries, 64 yards. Deep back is Mitchell. Maybe gets 3. Stopped by Juarez. Juarez has been big for Manteca tonight. Also McCready, the man who picked up the fumble, and Blankenship. Mitchell's 20th carry of the game. Goes for 3, 3rd down and 6. 3rd and 6 for Del Oro. Both teams have been in all kinds of 3rd and long situations. 2 receivers with clean jerseys to the left for Del Oro. That means they haven't seen the ball. Saris looking to throw. Intercepted by Sean Ward at the 43. Ward gets a block, and Ward will go down to the 4-yard line. Sean Ward, 39 yards on the interception. The intended receiver slipped down, and Ward picks it off. So the first pass attempt by Del Oro is intercepted, and Manteca has it 1st and goal from the 4. There's the pick by Ward. Evans tried to get in front of him to make a block. He does there, and then Ward was caught from behind by Nevadomi. Otherwise, Ward may have gone the distance. Sean Ward, a big play. Now the ball spotted just outside the 5. Ward's 3rd interception of the year, 3rd turnover of the game by Del Oro. Manteca with none. Last week, Granite Bay 5 turnovers, Manteca 1 in the Buffalo win. 3:24 on the clock. 1st and goal, Manteca. Ricky Martinez hit in the backfield and driven back. Brian Bradley was there. Bradley, 6'1", 235 senior, and a loss of 2 by Ricky Martinez. 2nd and goal now from the 7-yard line. Martinez, 13 carries, 66 yards. And Manteca, if they get the 2nd touchdown, it may be too much for Del Oro to overcome, although there's still just less than 15 minutes to play in the game. Manteca must capitalize, though. They did not come away with any points on the previous 2 turnovers. DeReo dives for the cone, and he's spotted down at the 1. DeReo, the man who was open in the first half, and Evans couldn't find him, this time makes the reception. Let's see if he got the cone. Dove for it. Hard to tell from that angle. DeReo's reception goes for 6. That's the first completion of the game. I'll repeat that. The first completion of the game for either team. It is 3rd and goal for Manteca from the half-yard line. Evans to keep, fighting, scoring. Touchdown, Buffaloes. Brad Evans takes it in from a yard out, and Manteca goes up by 2 scores, and for the first time they capitalize on a Del Oro turnover. Evans, the senior quarterback, scores for the 6th time this year, and now Brian Lowry, the sophomore, on for the extra point attempt. Lowry helping Manteca tie West earlier this year, 2 field goals, 2 extra points in his first game on the varsity. Now looking to give Manteca a 2-touchdown lead. Dadasevich holds, kick is up, and it is good. 14-0 Manteca, 2:34 left in the 3rd quarter. And Del Oro's running game, which has done virtually nothing tonight, is gonna have to pick it up. There's Evans. At first he didn't get it, but look at the strength, and all he had to do was get a couple of inches. And the Buffalo fans, who outnumber the Del Oro fans, are making some noise now, sensing a 12th victory, but there's still a lot of football left. There are the cheerleaders, nice and warm, bundled up. Easy for me to say, I'm in a press box, although it's not real warm in here either. Jandro now to kick away from Manteca. Manteca gets 2 touchdowns. Will that be enough? It might be. Last week, Manteca also was victorious, 14-0. Del Oro, though, came from behind last week, and they have won their last 11. There's a reason why they're 11-1, and there's a reason why Manteca's 11-0-1, and we're seeing that on display tonight. Yang and Mitchell are back in as return men. at about the 15, although I doubt the ball will ever reach them. A lot of work for Jandro tonight between kickoffs and punts. Probably going to squib it down the middle again. He does, off the side actually. Nevedoni loses it at the 22, picks it up again, has a little hole, and then Manteca will bring him down, but not before Paul Nevedoni gets up to the 44-yard line. Just what Del Oro needed, some excellent field position, trailing by 2 scores. From the sweet angle, Nevedoni, and sometimes when you bobble it, it turns out to be a good return situation. Breaking a couple of tackles, getting to the 44. Del Oro, 1st and 10. Tackle made by Dunnigan. David Yang, the ball carrier. Maybe a yard, and Steve Dunnigan, among others, controlling the defensive line and the line of scrimmage for the Manteca Buffaloes. We approach 2 minutes left in the third quarter, 14 in the game. The D2 section championship game. Manteca looking for their first ever title. Del Oro looking for their 6th. The most in Division II. Saris talking with his fullback. And there's a flag, maybe a delay of game. Let's see. 3 turnovers in this game for Del Oro, none for Manteca. Manteca scored off the last turnover, and that's actually a false start. First penalty by Del Oro in the second half. 4 for them in the game, 3 for Manteca in the game. This game has seen 4 pass attempts. Figuratively and literally both completed to Manteca Buffaloes. 1 to Jeff DeReo on offense for Manteca, 1 to Sean Ward on an interception. B.J. Mitchell, his first big run of the game as he gets across midfield at the 45. And let's see where he's officially spotted down at the 42-yard line. A gain of 19 for Mitchell, by far his biggest of the night. And you see he almost stumbles once, twice, then broke it to the outside. Stopped on a quarter, not a dime, before he's driven out of bounds. From the 42, Del Oro runs again with Mitchell. Mitchell gets to the 36, 6 yards gain there. And you see him starting to take a little bit of effect. He was huge late in the game last week, had a 75-yard touchdown in the final 4 minutes, and then Yang went in from 9 yards to give Del Oro the win against Cordova, 27-24. Certainly capable of coming from behind are the Golden Eagles. 2nd and 4. 2nd and 4 from near the 35, the final minute of the third quarter. Mitchell has gone for 25 on his last 2 carries after going for 49 previous 20 carries. He runs this time and loses a yard or 2. Juarez, McCready, and guess who? Steve Dunnigan. Or actually, I think that's Ryan Kelly, 56, not 66, excuse me. My excuse is getting awfully hard to see with the mud. 3rd and a very long 4. Awaiting Del Oro, though this is probably 4-down territory. Last play of the third quarter, B.J. Mitchell tripped up. Tackle again made by Ryan Kelly. Back-to-back tackles for him. The teams will switch sides, and when we start the fourth quarter, Del Oro will have it 4th and 3 from about the 34-yard line, 14-0 Manteca. In the first quarter, a 44-yard run by Ricky Martinez. In the third quarter, a 1-yard quarterback keeper by Brad Evans after Sean Ward intercepted a pass and took it 38 yards. 3 turnovers by Del Oro, none by Manteca, and the Manteca defense has been very impressive in slowing down B.J. Mitchell and David Yang, although Mitchell's starting to add up a little bit on the yardage side. As I mentioned, his first 20 carries, 49. and now had a 19-yard carry and a 6-yard carry on this current drive, as he has carried 4 of the 5 times on the current drive for Del Oro, up to 24 carries for Mr. Mitchell for a total of 75 yards. So 3 yards per carry. Manteca will take that, no doubt. From the 34, it's actually going to be probably a 4th and 2. I previously said 3, probably a 4th and 2 from the 34. Twice Manteca has stopped Del Oro on a 4th down. Full house backfield behind Saris. The deep back, it's Mitchell, and I don't think he has it. We'll see about the forward progress. The last man up is David Juarez. Ryan Kelly and DeReo are there as well. Officials may measure on this one. Let's take a look again. There is Mitchell. Dunnigan got a piece of him as well early on. Juarez in there. And it's going to be close. Mitchell was driven back, but of course forward progress always a key part of it. We had one measurement already in the contest. Manteca was just short. And now Manteca hopes this is just short. And if it is, it'd be the 3rd time Manteca had stopped Del Oro on a 4th down. Certainly live, it didn't look like Mitchell got it, but it's hard to tell where the officials give forward progress. And it is short by almost a full yard, as you can see there. Mitchell stopped, and 3 times on downs, Manteca has stopped Del Oro, and Del Oro has turned it over 3 times, 6 drive enders. The Manteca defense, as they have done all year long, stonewalling the opposition. Del Oro ranks 6th in the state, 11-1. Manteca 8th in the state, 11-0-1. Undefeated. 14-0 Manteca, another score, and this ball game would be over still, though, with 11:54 to play. And the touchdowns have not come easily for Manteca either. From about the 33, Jeff DeReo gets up to the 36, and in this game it qualifies as a big run. DeReo gets 4 on his 5th carry for 19 yards, as Manteca has kind of spiced it up a little. DeReo, a little Bailey, and a little Martinez here in the second half. 4 yards, 2nd and 6 from the 36 for Manteca, their own. Buffaloes by 2 touchdowns, 14-0, looking for the school's first Division II section title under the current format. Bailey this time, maybe 1. Was hit in the backfield and did well just to pick up that yard. As we are now under 11 minutes to play in the game, Jeffrey Lay, the tackler. Bailey gets 1, 3rd down and 5. And almost a play where Del Oro has to have a stop. A Manteca 1st down, and then more time comes off the clock. And Del Oro has struggled so much throwing the ball. 0 of 2 there with the pick and running the ball. Yang and Mitchell have not gotten untracked. 3rd and 5. Martinez will have lots of work to do. Has the 1st down to the 45. A big-time conversion for Manteca and Ricky Martinez, as he ends up getting about 8, maybe even 9 on the play. Martinez, carry number 14. Manteca, though, as they have done offensively all year long, have not overdone it with him. An outstanding back with 816 yards coming in, and probably could have had more, but Manteca doesn't want to tire him out, as Ricky Martinez also starts at a cornerback position. That's why Bailey and DeReo and Gilbert Martinez carried as well. And now you can see Ricky Martinez pretty fresh. 14 carries, 75 yards, and the touchdown. 1st and 10 Buffaloes at their own 46. Del Oro jumps. Evans twice has got them on the hard count. So Del Oro jumps off sides. It'll make it 1st and 5 for Manteca. Penalty number 5 against the Golden Eagles. Certainly have been a little more sloppy than they have been at times this year. Manteca has a tendency to do that to teams, though. This is the D2 final, the D3 final earlier today. Central Catholic a winner. The D1 final next Friday night. Elk Grove and Fairfield a winner last night over Lincoln. Brad Bailey, first down, churning across the 40 and down to the 38, maybe the 37. Gets 11, maybe 12, does Bailey. Look at it again from straight ahead. Nice little moves on the inside. There was the spin and diving forward for extra yardage. So Manteca maybe now starting to wear on Del Oro, a team with very few two-way players. Manteca almost exclusively plays both sides of the ball. 1st and 10 from the Del Oro 38 for Manteca. Short gain there. DeReo, the ball carrier, maybe a yard. We go under 9 minutes. Manteca has held the ball on this possession now for already 3 minutes. 2nd down and 9 after the 1-yard pickup by DeReo. From the 37 for Manteca. Any points on this drive would end the game. But more importantly for Manteca, with the 2-touchdown lead, they're taking all kinds of time off the clock. I formation behind Brad Evans. Ricky Martinez hops over the 35, gets maybe 2. Brings up a 3rd and 6. A long 6, as Martinez ends up with 3. But now the clock nears 8 minutes. After this play, it'll be below 8 minutes. 3rd down and 6. Del Oro must have the stop. Brad Bailey goes wide to the right. Ward wide to the left. Will Manteca throw? They'll run the option. Evans maybe should have tossed it. Keeps it, though. Dives forward and is very close to a Buffalo 1st down. Had Martinez wide, could have tossed it to him for a 1st down. And Evans, the quarterback, look at the war paint all over him. He has gone to battle, as have both teams tonight. And if it isn't a 1st down, Manteca is going to be within a yard, and I'm guessing they'll go for it on 4th down. If that becomes the case, we may have another measurement. Look at it again as Manteca running the option. I thought he had Evans fake the toss there. Maybe that helped him free up and tried to keep his feet, did Brad Evans, for as long as possible. Here comes the measurement. And it's 2, maybe 3 links short. Manteca, though, it would be a 45-yard field goal. They're not going to try that. Probably not going to punt from the 28. Even if you turn it over on downs, it's not the best of field position for Del Oro. Here comes the 8th play of the drive for Manteca. They have eaten now 4 minutes off of the clock. As we take a look one more time on the quarterback keeper by Brad Evans. Fake the toss. Sidestep the tackler, maybe even 2. And in the swamp that has become Stagg Memorial Stadium, he stays on his feet for 5, needed 6. 4th and less than a yard for Manteca as they eye the 1st down. And this possibly could be the game for Del Oro, to be honest with you. A 1st down here by Manteca may about put it in the books with the 2-touchdown lead, and Del Oro yet to score. DeReo and Ricky Martinez behind Brad Evans. Evans is going to keep, dive, hit the first time, but breaks through and has the 1st down. Evans, who also starts at linebacker, among probably the strongest quarterbacks you're going to find. He scored on a 1-yard keeper earlier, and right there he was stopped initially, wouldn't have had the 1st down, but then fights forward as he broke to the outside for about 3. And Manteca now will have a 9th play of the drive. See right there, Chandler stopping Evans. I don't believe he would have gotten it, but then the strength to pull to the right side and pick up the Buffalo 1st down. Play number 9 for Manteca. This drive started at 11:54 of this 4th quarter. Buffalo's 14, Golden Eagles nothing. 1st and 10 from the 25. Ricky Martinez fighting, pushed out of bounds at the 20, 5 yards there. And Del Oro is probably going to see a steady diet of Ricky Martinez the rest of this game. Manteca attempting for back-to-back shutouts. Shutout Granite Bay last week. Granite Bay, the runner-up in the Sierra Foothill League. Del Oro, the champions of the Sierra Foothill League. Manteca 3 times in the title game, 75, 78, 93, no wins. Del Oro, 89, 92, 93, 94, and 97, champions. They beat East Union in 89, Sonora in 92, Manteca in 93, and West in 97. 4 wins against VOL teams. They lost to Sonora in 95, so 4-1 against teams from the VOL, 5-1 overall in D2 title games. 2nd and 5, Manteca from the 20. Ricky Martinez, no, he was the fake. The dive went to DeReo, excuse me. Maybe a yard there. DeReo, 7 carries. 10th play of the drive for Manteca there. 11th play upcoming. Looks like the drive Fairfield had last night against Lincoln. A 17-play drive. This now a 5.5-minute drive for Manteca. It started just 6 seconds into the 4th quarter. Manteca has shut down B.J. Mitchell. They have shut down David Yang. They have 3 turnovers, and now they are going for their first section championship. On 3rd and 4, Ricky Martinez hitting the backfield, and it will bring up a 4th down and long. Mowry was there along with Jake Duncan. Martinez loses about 4. Looks like it's going to be 4th and 8. If you're Manteca, do you try the field goal? Probably not, because it's going to be 40 or 41. And, of course, if that were to get blocked, it could have disastrous results for Manteca. So a 4th down and 8 from about the 24. Manteca must get near the 15. Do the Buffaloes go to the air? They only have twice tonight, once successful, once not successful. Nearing 5.5 minutes left. Evans running the option. He keeps it and does not have nearly the required yardage. He only gets 2. The ball goes over on downs to Del Oro, so the Golden Eagles get the stop, but Manteca has a 12-play drive, which takes 6.5 minutes off of the clock. Exactly what Manteca wanted, though they didn't get the points. Here's Del Oro. They must get 2 touchdowns in the game's final 5.5 minutes. Saris looking to throw, incomplete. Yang, the intended receiver. Del Oro 0 of 3 through the air with an interception. Last week, Del Oro scored 2 touchdowns in the game's final 4 minutes against Cordova. Here they must do the same against Manteca to force an overtime, unless they went for 2. Clock stopped at 5:25 in the 4th quarter. A game has only seen 5 total passes, dominant defense, especially on the Manteca side. Ricky Martinez, a touchdown run, and Brad Evans one as well, the only scoring. Saris, the comeback toss. Pass is completed. A heck of a tackle by David Juarez, fought off a blocker and then makes the play. You're not going to see many finer than that. Yang, the receiver, and he ends up gaining maybe a yard. Juarez has been outstanding. Dunnigan has been outstanding. We could go on and on about the Manteca defense tonight. First completion of the game, the previous play for Del Oro. That tells you something. 3rd and 9, Del Oro jumps. They have had problems with the false starts tonight. This is going to march them back 5 and make it 3rd and 14. Bruce Bondi. There's the false start call against Del Oro. Clock down now to 4:46. And this, obviously, 4-down territory for Del Oro, trailing by 2 scores. 3rd and 14. From about the 18, shotgun to Saris, looking down the field, overshoots his intended receiver, threw it behind Jesse Harris. Ricky Martinez almost with the pick. So now it is 4th down, and Del Oro will not bring the punting unit on, and this, for all intents and purposes, is the ball game. A stop by Manteca, and it is over. 4:37 left in the fourth. Buffaloes 14, Golden Eagles nothing. There was the throw, which was behind Martinez. Sure like that angle. Almost picked off by Ricky Martinez. 4th and 14. Saris in trouble trying to set up the screen, and he threw it to no one in particular. Juarez got the shot in on Saris. And folks, that's probably going to do it. 4:32 left. Manteca, you can see the reaction. Their fans and the crowd do it as well, sensing the first ever section championship. There they are, the hardy souls that brave the weather, the elements. And they should give it to the fans who stayed at home because of the weather. Really hasn't been all that bad of a night once the game got started. Although at 9:30 setting up, it was not fun. Manteca 4 times to stop Del Oro on downs. Now they have it inside the 20. They have to make sure they take care of the ball. 4:32 left. Bailey runs it. He's tackled there by the corner, Duncan. And Del Oro takes the TO. They're down to 2. 1 yard gain for the Buffaloes. Bailey a little slow getting up. Number 33 to the left of your screen. He's hobbling around. Well, it's been a long wait for Manteca. They haven't been to the final since '93, as we documented. That was a loss to this same Del Oro team. Well, not this same team, but the same school. And even though Manteca hasn't been here in 8 years, it's been a stretch where the Buffaloes struggled. We've talked about it a lot. 96 through 99. Manteca just 10 and 30. Last year, with many of these players as juniors, the Buffaloes went 6 and 4. During the summer, they had shirts made up that said 13 and 0. Early in the year, after a win against Central Catholic, Brad Evans, in the paper, the Buffalo quarterback, said his team was going to go 13 and 0. In their locker room, the Buffaloes have a sign that says 13, touch only if you believe. Well, they cannot get their 13th win tonight, but they can get their 12th against one tie here in the 13th game. And it appears if they are going to back up all of the talk and everything else. Evans almost gets the Golden Eagles to jump. Ricky Martinez for a couple. And this has just been old school football. I'm going to run at you, see if you can stop me, and then turn around and run the other way. And Manteca's just made a few more stops tonight, and the Martinez touchdown run was huge. Manteca led 7-0 at the half and 14-0 here in the fourth quarter. Manteca started the fourth quarter with a 6.5-minute drive that didn't result in any points, but took all that time off the clock, and that may have been the sealer. 4:19 to play. Certainly not completely done yet, despite my pontificating. But you would think, and that was for Howard Cosell, but you would think that the way Del Oro has been unable to throw the ball and the way Manteca shut down the run, that 2 touchdowns in the final 4:19 are virtually impossible. 3rd and 9 for Manteca at the Del Oro 18. Evans with the long count, sensing the blitz. He runs with it and is hit for a loss of 3, Chad Mowry. And I'll tell you what, Del Oro, if they go down tonight, 2 guys that deserve a lot of credit even in defeat are Chad Mowry and Gabe Chandler. 3rd timeout and last taken by Del Oro. Manteca has the ball at the 20. Means it's a 4th and 10, maybe even 4th and 11. 4th and 11 upcoming. And Manteca probably not going to try a field goal here, nor should they, I don't think. It would put you up by 3 scores, but once again, the chance of it being blocked are great. There is Joe Miller right in the middle of your screen talking with Jeff DeReo, who now will head back to the field. Coach Miller's 10th year here at Manteca after a long stint at Delta High School, 18 years there, 34 years in total in coaching. This is his 4th trip to a section championship game, looking for his 3rd win. Pretty good resume. 4 pro players, 4 section title games. 4th and 11 for Manteca from the 20 of Del Oro, but the Buffaloes lead by 2 touchdowns. Neil McDonald out of the huddle. Brad Evans into it. Clock shows 4:13. That's all that waits between Manteca and a section championship. Del Oro now all that waits between Manteca and a first down. but it's also 11 yards of mud and some green grass. Evans will try to throw, flushed, fires, almost caught by Gilbert Martinez, but tipped away by Jake Duncan. Incompletion. It goes over on downs to Del Oro. So Del Oro out of timeouts, down by 14, and they have 80 yards of field in front of them. Stranger things have happened, but we'll wait and see. Obviously going to have to throw the ball. Evans, a strong toss rolling. Duncan, probably a ball Martinez should have caught, and he'll probably tell you that, though one of the big reasons why Manteca playing in this game, especially with his play as of late. So once again, it falls on the Manteca defense, but they do have a 2-touchdown cushion. Chris Saris, backside pressure. Juarez hammers him. Ball's loose. Who has it at the bottom of the pile? Manteca, the 4th turnover by Del Oro, and Juarez leveled Saris, and he recovers it. Can he do anything else? Saris never saw him coming. Blindside, ouch. And then the ensuing scramble, it ends up in the hands of number 7 for Manteca. And now you can put this one in the books. The Buffaloes are going to be section champs. They have it at the 9. And the Buffalo fans sense it. We'll see if they rush the field afterwards, although if you rush the field, watch your feet because you might eat some mud. In 93, Del Oro shut out Manteca for the section title. Here, Manteca attempting to do the same. Evans looking for his 2nd touchdown. Is tripped up from behind. Otherwise, he would have taken it in. Evans gets inside the 5 to the 4. Picks up about 5 yards. 3:53 on the clock. As we near 9 o'clock on the first day in December, Manteca attempting to make the run undefeated. You see Evans just got his feet tangled up. Ball now spotted just outside the 5, so 2nd and goal from the 5. Full house behind Brad Evans. Jeff DeReo diving, scoring. Touchdown, Jeff DeReo. Manteca by 3 touchdowns. Heck of an effort by Jeff DeReo. And Manteca now leads 20-0. A touchdown for Ricky Martinez, a touchdown for Brad Evans, and now one for Jeff DeReo. Here is Lowry to attempt his 3rd extra point. He has made the 2 previous. Dadasovic to hold. DeReo, the man who gets the touchdown. Lowry the extra point. 21-0 Manteca. Certainly not a score anyone would have expected. Not surprising that Manteca's ahead or about to win, but 21-0 Manteca handling Del Oro. Early on it was a struggle, but late here in the game it's been all Buffaloes. The effort of DeReo across the goal line. We'll see about the flags. Unsportsmanlike against Del Oro, some of the frustration starting to set in and the celebration starting to begin for the Manteca fans, sensing the first section championship. From up top, DeReo goes down low, turning those legs for 6. B.J. Mitchell, highly touted coming in, 2,000 yards, the top back in the area as far as the yardage, 23 touchdowns. David Yang, nearly 1,500 yards, 22 touchdowns coming in. Well, combined, they're just at 100 yards. Manteca's only given up over 100 to a single back. That was Frank Phillips once this year. It doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight either. Mitchell at 75, but I doubt if Del Oro is going to run much anymore. Probably just going to try and throw. Although right now it's going to be throwing in defeat. The penalty means Manteca is going to kick off from the Del Oro side of the field at the Del Oro 45. We'll see if Jandro can punch this one through the end zone. Manteca led 7-0 after 1, 7-0 at the half, 14-0 after 3. And the lead right now, Manteca 21, Del Oro nothing. 3:48 left in the season. Yang and Mitchell are the deep men. Probably a squibber coming again from Jandro. Onside, recovered by Del Oro, and why not onside it when you kick from the 45 of the other team? Recovery there by Ryan Bradley. And the last part of this fourth quarter seemed to have taken as long as the first half did. A game that has seen virtually no passing, a lot of running, not much of it for many yards, but some outstanding defense from Manteca. 4 turnovers by Del Oro. When you turn the ball over 4 times and the opposition does it never, chances are you're not going to win. Del Oro will run. David Yang taken out of bounds. That's about the last thing Manteca wants to do. Yang able to get to about 4. 3,500 yards combined between Yang and Mitchell, and tonight, right around 100. Which is about 200 less than they average in a game. Manteca this year on defense, the most yards they've given up, 267 against West. In their previous 12 games, 8 times they held the opposition under 200 yards of offense. Del Oro's at about 110. Underneath handoff, McCready all over it for the Buffaloes. I think it was Yang again who was the motion man. Actually, Nevadomi, excuse me. And the clock rolling as we near 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Manteca by 3 touchdowns. 3rd down and long upcoming for Del Oro from their own 40. About 3rd and 8. Who hasn't made a big play for the Manteca defense tonight? Saris tosses to Brewer, the backup quarterback. He drops it incomplete, maybe trying to set up a double pass, although it's ruled incomplete, so you couldn't have thrown it forward. Del Oro, one of the most dominant teams this area has ever seen in the late 80s, early 90s. 9 league championships, 5 section titles. They had a stretch where they won 47 consecutive league games. Then some downtime as Granite Bay opened up. Hadn't won a league title until this year, 4-year stretch without winning a league title. But the 6th section championship will have to wait, as this is now defeat number 2 for Del Oro. 4th and 8. Saris slips, knee doesn't go down, and pass is intercepted by Ricky Martinez. The 5th turnover, interception by number 5, Ricky Martinez. Last week he had the game-ending interception against Granite Bay, and this week he has the game-ending interception against Del Oro, as Del Oro may not see the ball again. Del Oro out of timeouts, trailing by 21 points. They have turned the ball over 5 times. That's what Coach Miller talked about. He said in the postseason, you just focus on getting first downs, and then you make sure you don't turn the ball over more than the other team. And he was pretty confident that his Buffaloes would not turn the ball over more than Del Oro. And now in 2 weeks, here late in the postseason, the opposition has turned it over 10 times, Manteca once. Ricky Martinez, I think he's the game's MVP, although you have to give some honorable mention to David Juarez and that entire Manteca defense. Martinez gets 4. So he's up over 80 yards, 900 for the season, 21 total touchdowns. Saris slipped and then overthrew his intended receiver. Martinez just waited for it to come down, playing left field as opposed to center field. 2nd down and about 6. Manteca making sure they run off as much time as possible before snapping it. Bailey, near a 1st down, torpedoing his body forward. Bailey, Dureo, and Martinez have just grinded time off the clock here in the second half. 1st down, Buffaloes. It stops the clock momentarily as the chains are reset with 2 minutes to go. Bailey will pop through right there to get the Buffalo 1st down. Now less than 2 minutes to go. First and 10, Manteca waiting, letting those seconds tick off the play clock. Neil McDaniel keeping the time on the side, then he tells them when to snap it. Fumble! Del Oro has it, but far too little too late. Manteca's first turnover of the game, Ryan Bradley recovers. But Del Oro only needs to score 3 times without timeouts in the final 134. Second week in a row, opposition 5 turnovers, Manteca 1. Second week in a row, Manteca shut out the opposition. Del Oro certainly would like to score here in the final 134. Obviously coming back to tie the game, a virtual impossibility, but maybe a touchdown to feel a little better about yourself. Mitchell turning the legs for a first down in about 14 yards, his second longest run. So that's going to get him up near 90. And Manteca would like to keep him under 100. Of course, the 90 unofficially. If it's incorrect, you have to talk to my stat man. The Stockton record picked Natomas to win the section championship Division II. Both the Modesto B and Sac B picked Del Oro before the playoffs started. Well, they are all wrong. Manteca now draws back Mitchell, so he'll lose a couple. Go back down somewhere in the mid-80s. And this will also end the 4-year run of Sierra Foothill League teams winning the D2 title. We play the final minute of the section championship game, Division II. Saris, Juarez coming for him, as is Danny C., and he just flings it out of there. Let's see what the officials call. They say down. Juarez, another sack. Granite Bay has won the last 2 years. Oak Ridge in 98, Del Oro in 97. Manteca, the first non-Sacramento team since 1996 when Oakdale won it. And now the clock is under 30 seconds. The Manteca fans are going nuts. There was the sack by Juarez. Del Oro maybe one more snap in their season. It is a third down. 15 seconds left now. Down to 10. The fans counting it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For the first time ever, the Manteca Buffaloes are undefeated section champions. They defeat Del Oro 21-0, avenging the 93 defeat. Manteca 12-0-1, not quite 13-0, but maybe everybody should have listened to Brad Evans back on September the 14th. Not something you see very often, an undefeated champion. There's a tie in there, but that's about as close to perfection as you can get. And for 2 weeks now, Manteca has held the 2 best teams that Sacramento had to offer in Division II to 0 points. Manteca wins last week against Granite Bay 14-0. This week 21-0. And in the first round of the playoffs, Manteca beat Foothill 41-14. Both those touchdowns came late in the game. So Manteca, no doubt, the best team in Division II. They are number 8 in the state. They will end up probably being ranked in the top 5 in the state of California before it is all said and done. And Manteca, 3 rounds of the playoffs, they outscore the opposition 76-14. It doesn't get much more dominant than that. And on a muddy, sloshy, dirty field, the Manteca Buffaloes win the school's Division II section championship. There we go with the old school helmet, which is maybe appropriate because the Buffaloes did it with old school football, smash mouth defense. The team wears t-shirts the coaches do on Tuesdays at practice that say offense wins games, but defense wins championships. Well, the definition of that was seen here tonight at Stagg Memorial Stadium. So 14 weeks of high school football, 14 games, 13 weeks. We've been with you. The D1 final is next week without Lincoln, so it may be without us. Fairfield and Elk Grove, but this concludes D2 action It may conclude our coverage as well as mine. For our entire SJTV crew, PJ Leo Gales, Nicole Ferran, Dan Brannon, Demetrius Snayer, Nick Lujan, Michael January, and my good friend Mike Thompson, I'm Eric Alves saying goodnight from Amos Alonzo Stagg Memorial Stadium. The Buffaloes, for the first time ever, Division II section champions. They are the best team in the section D2, 21-0 over Del Oro. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.